morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another Cruise of Smooth. So I do want to apologize. Some of the videos that I've taken have been going up in kind of a goofy order. I recorded something a handful of days ago, and I didn't upload it. Kind of got buried and I forgot, so it went up out of order. So I do want to apologize for that. Before I get into it, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell. If there's anything you want to know my opinion on, leave it in the comments. Be more than happy to. So I have a question that I do not have the answer to, and I just kind of want to rattle this off to you guys. How long will the ever-increasing, or the seemingly increasing racial tensions go on before something worse happens? There have been police call-ins, aka the blue fever, blue flu, whatever you want to call it, in Atlanta. There was there's a officer that shot a man who had acquired his taser under Georgia state law. A taser is considered a deadly weapon. I actually watched a video where an officer ignored his training and repeatedly tased a man, sending him into, I don't remember what it was. It was some sort of cardiac event. And he died from improper use of a taser. Most people do not have training on tasers unless you're law enforcement. So the guy gets the officer's taser, shoots it at him, and the cop shoots him with a gun. Now, I'm not going to take sides in all that. I don't want to anger half the YouTube mob one way or another, but those are the facts. I watched the footage. But the Atlanta or the Cobb County Attorney General or something, they're going after murder charges on this cop. So you've got that. I've seen, you've got Aunt Jemima. They're doing away with her success story and erasing that from history. They're doing away with Quaker Oats. Uncle Ben's. There's some other companies I've seen where they're going to change the name and marketing strategies. So I just wonder how much of this is going to happen before it either stops or something worse happens. I do not like the idea of censoring our history. There is a definitive argument to be made about it being done on the taxpayer dollar, but what do you think the Smithsonian's are? And I think that maybe not flaunting it in public, but I think that all of our history, no matter how ugly, should be taught, because you wouldn't want to make the same mistakes or similar mistakes. There's a lot that can be learned from history. If you entered the world and never used any person's knowledge to accomplish anything, we would perpetually live in the Stone Age. If everybody entered the world and could not learn from the generations that came before them, we would consistently be in the Stone Age if. as it stands, with everybody being capable of learning from previous generations, we can learn the things that work, we can learn the things that don't work, and humanity is better because of our ability to observe previously recorded events. I don't think that revising history is going to give us a better perspective on past events. Give you a case of revisionist history that has happened in my lifetime. September 11th, 2001. Everyone that was alive then knows where you were that day. You remember the gut-wrenching feeling of hearing that our nation was under attack. You remember the reaction of those around you. You remember what you were thinking. You remember watching those towers fall. You were angry, upset, hurt. And one of the best images that came out of that was the image of those 3 firefighters hoisting the flag over Ground Zero in New York. There was a statue commissioned somewhere to commemorate that event. The statue does not resemble 2 out of 3 of those guys. The men in the picture, and I know this because I had that as my checkbook for a number of years. It was 3 white guys. The statue was a white guy, a Latino guy, and a Mexican, and a black guy. And I don't understand why that's important. It doesn't register to me. The only way that I see race being important in anything is diseases that target certain ethnic minorities differently due to the way that their bodies had adapted to either their native climate or the climate that their previous generations grew up in, or if you're dealing with people migrating to and from various places, the diseases that are native to those places. Other than that, it doesn't matter to me. I think that people have placed a overly ridiculous amount of importance on ethnicity recently, and for a long time even. I don't think it should matter. I really don't. And it makes no sense to me why why it's such a big thing. I don't get it. I remember one time, a friend of mine, retired law enforcement, I had to ask him some legal questions one time about a situation that I was in, and he and I met up for lunch. His wife was busy, brought my wife with me, and we talked for about, I don't know, an hour and a half, had a really great time. And I've known the guy for years in more of a professional capacity. I'd run into him every once in a while. He was a bouncer at some of the places that I used to play out live at when I was in a cover band. And anyways, like, yeah, my wife and I, when we got married, we had a lot of hate come our way. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're in a mixed marriage. And I'm like, Harry, that never occurred to me that you were in a mixed marriage, because it's not a big deal. I said, I think it's great that you are. And he's like, and he explained more of his situation and, how that kind of hatred, static, whatever you want to call it, came at him and his wife. And I think that that's wrong. I know several people that are in an interracial marriage, and they're by and large decent and and wonderful people to be around. But I don't understand why that's a big thing. I don't understand why people put so much emphasis on ethnicity when it comes to things. I think that various ethnicities have wonderful cultures, but I don't think that it makes you more or less than your neighbor. And there's a lot of people that see it that way, or that want to conduct themselves based on race in one way or another. Give you a case in point. On my Facebook, a guy I know, co-worker, decent enough guy, enjoyed talking with him. He is, we'll leave it at, give me just a second, I gotta pause this. Hey folks, sorry about that. Anyway, co-worker friend of mine, and we'll just say mine and his overall opinion on George Floyd, the protests and riots, don't line up exactly. If there were a public figure whose opinion I think should be most valued and whose opinion I would agree with the most, it would honestly be Candace Owens. She dug through some of George Floyd's more colorful past and shed light on that in about a 10 to 15 minute YouTube video. Well worth the watch. And her opinion was a 50% both ways. My in the way I saw it. She did not think that anything that Officer Derek Chauvin did was proper police conduct due to the fact that he had George Floyd in handcuffs. She did not think that the officers that were with Derek Chauvin were behaving properly. Please don't hit me. I love idiots. Sorry, folks. She did not think that any of the officers with Derek Chauvin behaved properly. She did not... She thought that the Minneapolis Police Department and the county DA should bring full charges against those guys. But she did not understand, and I'm going to give a loose quote here, why Black Lives Matter rallies behind the lowest common denominator of the community. Her words, essentially. And she's like, no other community does that. You take any community, you have someone with, prior run-ins with law enforcement and criminal history, and they end up in an altercation with police, and anything happens to them, that person got kind of what was coming to them. That was basically what she said. I might be butchering it really bad, but and on this particular gentleman's Facebook page, it's a coworker friend of mine, she has caught a lot of static from him. Uncle Tom, along those lines. And I don't get it. Like, she's allowed to have her opinion until... Same thing with Kanye West a few years back. He's allowed to have his opinion until... So, I think that a lot of people have turned this up to 11 and broke the knob off trying to go higher. I think that there's a lot of things happening right now, and that could create a powder keg situation. Because, okay, look, at this point, every cop is walking on pins and needles. And I don't care if you're dealing with, and it doesn't matter if they're dealing with, crackhead, drug dealer, rapist guy. If they mishandle it one way, they're going to come under severe scrutiny. If they act in a way that someone thinks they shouldn't have, they're going to come under severe scrutiny. And I'm not talking about from law enforcement community. I'm talking from the media. And you're going to have this all over again. Someone posted something on Facebook that, you gotta agree with, if you don't break laws, you don't have to deal with cops. The last time I dealt with a police officer was more than 2 years ago over a burnt out license plate light. Aside from that, I've had a few instances. Well, I have had a few other instances, but that's the only time where a cop has pulled me over or stopped me for or that's the most recent time. And, you know, if you behave and don't do certain types of behavior, you don't get in trouble. I mean, there is a reward for good behavior. So, and whenever you increase the interactions with police, the likelihood that someone makes a mistake, whether it's the person being detained by police or the police officer themselves or kind of a mix of both, a problem can occur. So I just hope that stuff changes. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that policing, I think policing can always use improvement. Period. I think that the kind of guys that you get in there can be more carefully and cautiously screened. Period. I think that more evaluation as they're in the police service can happen. You know, continuously reevaluating, is this officer a good fit for the job? Is this person a good fit for the job? I think that can happen, period. I think that there's other steps that you can take to make sure that a bad cop doesn't go from precinct to precinct to precinct, or, you know, county to county to county, causing these kind of problems like Officer Chauvin did, culminating in the death of George Floyd. So there's steps that you can take, sure. I don't think that the steps that you should take are being talked about or being bandied about or they're not the loudest thing in the news right now. And right now it wouldn't take much more to set off something or to make this even worse. So, anyway, another thing I wanted to mention real quick, that gentleman that's a coworker buddy, he posted something there. It was brands that cater to black people. One of them I recognize is a hair care products, and it's like not black owned. So I don't get it. You know, if I need anything done, whether it's a hair care product, bathroom supplies, groceries, whatever, well, I need to find the best company that's ran by a 6'4" dad bod guy with a red beard, stat, because I need this. No, I'm going to go find the one that's either at the price I can afford or has the best reviews, period. I don't think that should matter. And if it turns out that the company I'm looking for is ran by Asian, black, Mexican, Native African, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's the company I'm going to go with if that's the company that has what I need. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough for you guys. Y'all stay safe. Thanks for tuning in for another Cruise of Smooth.